Hi and welcome, and hello to everyone who has already joined in the chat. And I know some of you are driving and some of you are just maybe having an early morning coffee. For me here, I should be having a glass of wine, but I've got water. What can you do? But anyway, whichever part of the planet you're on, I really wish you a wonderful hello and hello and hello and a great day. So today we're looking at the live stream about the week ahead and also mostly Mercury retrograde, because today Mercury has gone retrograde. So I see Andy is going off to the woods today. Well, you know what happens when you go into the woods? You have to be very careful you're not eaten by bears. So please, Andy, take care and drive carefully. So how do we feel about Mercury retrograde? First of all, let's just have a look at how the scene is set for today, because when Mercury goes retrograde, the point in time sets a tone, sets the scene for what we can expect over the next kind of 3 weeks whilst Mercury is retrograde. It's actually retrograde until the 28th of August when it goes direct again. But let's have a look. So the moon at the start of the day is still in Leo, but then a little bit later today, it actually moves into the sign of Virgo. And we will have the moon, Venus, newly arrived in Virgo, and Mercury, all in a kind of little stellium in the sign of Virgo. Now, Virgo is a very pernickety and sometimes critical sign. It can be self-critical. It can be critical of others. So I think with Mercury that rules Virgo going retrograde in the sign, there is a danger that we all get into maybe even what I would say being very critical and self-critical about ourselves. And, you know, somebody's pointed out in one of the comments on one of my Astro Bites about Venus being in Virgo, about being self-critical of how we look, which I think is absolutely spot on, because Venus in Virgo kind of really screams out, I want my appearance to be the best, the most perfect that it can be. And of course, Virgo is saying, oh yeah, but you know, what about that? And what about that? And what about that? And, you know, and do I look okay in this light or this light? So there is a lot of critical energy around while we have these planets in Virgo. So Mercury, when it goes retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo. And mid-cycle, it will actually, and I'm just going to look at when it goes into Leo. So Mercury goes retrograde and it goes back into Leo. Okay, on the 19th, which of course is the full moon in Aquarius. And then it doesn't go direct again till the 28th, but it actually only goes back as far as 21 degrees and 24 minutes of Leo. So what does it all mean? That's what we need to know. And hello, everybody. And Shannon is energy, lovely name. That's what we need, plenty of energy, because I think sometimes with these retrogrades, we can feel a little bit like we're walking through mud. And, you know, for me at this end of the day, because where I am in Central Europe, Central European daylight time, my day and my biorhythms are winding down, where a lot of you I know who are viewing today are just waking up to the day. So it's a really interesting dynamic. And but let's think about the sign of Virgo, because what about its positive qualities? Well, it is about service to other and care and helping. And it's about charity. It's about being charitable. Hi, Jim. Good to see you here. And it's also, as I said, it's about being particular and pedantic. But, you know, sometimes we need that. And whilst Mercury, that rules Virgo, is retrograding through this sign, it really is a good time to re-look at anything that you feel you've overlooked in terms of written work, forms you're filling in, things you might be sort of, where you might be applying for positions in jobs, where you might be filling in forms for all sorts of things. It'll give you a chance to make sure that you don't miss out any of the minor and smaller details. Now, the interesting thing in the event chart is that Virgo is falling in the second house of the event chart. And the second house is about finance. Now, what I think is super interesting is that with the second house being Virgo and finance, Venus here as well, Venus that rules Taurus, which rules finance, economy, and luxury. And we have Mercury retrograde. And guess what happened on the planet today? Japan, the Far East, the Middle East, all the markets absolutely crashed. The UK, when that opened, it dropped by, I think, over 2 points. And the US market has opened about an hour ago, and I think that also has received some big losses. This is Mercury retrograde. Now, for anyone who feels concerned, worried, anxious about this, don't worry, because I feel this is a blip. It may be partly what they call a market readjustment, because things have got a little bit too relaxed and inflated through the summer months. And I think that also this Mercury retrograde is saying, slow down, guys. Let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Let's not go absolutely wild with buy, buy, buy in the sense of buying, or sell, sell, sell. So I do feel that things will level out as the month goes on, especially after that full moon in Aquarius on the 19th. And then we have the challenging energy of the Jupiter squaring Saturn retrograde in Pisces, Jupiter conjunct Mars, but more of that later. Let's stick with this Virgo energy and Mercury. Venus also in Virgo is going to be making us think, oh gosh, and you know, I was hoping to do a bit of shopping, splash out on some new things, some new clothes, something to make my appearance look nice. And of course, what's happening is Mercury is going, oh no, not this month. I don't think so. I think this is the month for tightening the belt. Now, this can feel somewhat depressing, but that's where we have to take a step back and gain what is known as eagle sight. We need to look at the bigger picture, because we've been here before. The planet has been here before. The markets have been here before. And we know astrologically that what we are going through over the next kind of few months is going to be particularly challenging. It could be dynamic. It can be life-changing for many, not necessarily in a bad way. I think a lot of people will be making some quite profound and dramatic decisions, life decisions, that perhaps they never actually saw themselves doing. And what this Mercury retrograde and the general energy is saying is, in Virgo, don't start getting caught in worry and anxiety, because these kind of fluctuations in markets, because it affects our pockets, can make us feel very nervous. So what I'm saying is, please don't get nervous or anxious about what has been unfolding today. It's going to continue a bit for the whole week, but just be patient, because things will settle. Things will start to fall into place. It's all, hi, Ravina. I replied to your email today, my love. And thank you. And I'm glad you had a fabulous time in the UK. And hello, Parry. It's good to see you here. And hi, Sue Carroll. Good to see you here. And so what I want to say is, it really is important with this Mercury retrograde. And I see Jem is saying you're feeling that jitterbug energy. Yes, it is a bit. It is like jittery, it's jitters, it's nerves, it's Virgo. This initial sense of Virgo anxiety will actually pass once the moon moves into Libra in 3 days' time. It will actually balance out and feel a lot easier. And we'll be sitting back and thinking, whew, that was a bit of a scary ride for a while. So don't worry, it will actually all be okay. I want to tell you about a dream I had. Well, it's what's known as a vision dream. And the difference between a dream that we have and have vague memories of when we wake up, but then forget, and a vision dream is that with a vision dream, we never forget it. It stays with us forever. So I just feel that it's a good time to tell you this vision dream I had. Now we're going back probably, 12, 13, 14 years ago when I had this vision dream. Basically, in the dream, I'm who I am. I was aware of who I am. And I'm sitting on a little kind of like rock or plinth or some kind of stone that is sitting height at the base of a wooden day, which is a kind of little platform. And this platform has 4 pillars, wooden pillars, very basic and rustic. And over the top of the pillars is a very rough and worn kind of canvas or sheet kind of canopy, protecting the person that is sitting underneath this canopy from the hot sun. Behind the canopy and this platform, I can see fields. There are fields, it's green, there are trees. It doesn't particularly look like the parts of the world that I have been to, in the sense that it doesn't remind me of the UK particularly, which of course was my home. But when I described this vision dream to a friend of mine who has been many times to India, she said, I described a place known as Shirdi. Now, some of you may or may not have heard of a guru who is long since gone called Shirdi Sai Baba. Now, I'll tell you a little bit that I remember about him, because in the dream, there was this wizened old man sitting on a bench under this canopy on this wooden platform. And he had a kind of almost like a turban, but just one or two rolls tied around his head with some straggly bits hanging down, and grey wispy hair, very wizened face, and a bit of a wispy beard. And he was quite lean, quite tall and gawky and lean and bony. And he was just dressed in a kind of shift with a kind of rope belt. And in the dream, he leaned forward and he looked intently into my eyes. His eyes were as deep as souls. I felt I saw into this person's soul. They were deep, dark, kind of black-brown eyes. And he looked back at me and he said, "Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right." And then he said it one more time. Everything will be all right. At that point, I woke up, and it had such a profound effect on me. And at the time, I was going through quite a rough time myself, psychologically and emotionally. And I was at that time caring for my disabled mother from a stroke. And the pressure and the stress of doing all of that, because she was in a wheelchair, I did get nursing help as well. But the pressure and stress of it was enormous. And I looked after her for 16 long years, but I wouldn't have done it any other way. But I used to live through a lot of fear and anxiety about the future because I wasn't very good at staying in the present. I wasn't very good at doing what I teach and preach, if you like, now. I was very bad at it. But when I had this dream, it changed my life at that time. I told this friend of mine who, as I said, had been to India many times, and she said, and she went and got a book. And the book said Shirdi Sai on the cover. Didn't mean a thing to me. She opened the book and she showed me a picture of this man called Shirdi Sai. And she said, "Is this the person who was in your dream?" And I went, "Oh my God, yes, yes, that was him." So she said, "Well, Shirdi Sai has bridged time and has connected with you on a frequency, showing you this vision dream and showing you confirmation and evidence of who he is, and that what he's saying you can take as truth." And I give that to you. I don't know why that vision dream has come to me now, but I just really felt this strong urge to share it with you. It's a little bit Mercury retrograde. Mercury is taking me back to thoughts of the past. And maybe that is what some of this Mercury retrograde can be like for you. Maybe you need to go back and think about the past and remember when you've been in really bad situations and bad times, that actually at the other end of them, everything has been all right. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here. So the fact that we're here, and we might still be struggling, I'm not saying there's no struggle, but if we're still here, we still have hope, an opportunity, and a chance to fight to grow, to overcome the obstacles that seem to be thrown like curveballs into our path. So with this Mercury retrograde, which is for the whole month of August, take it easy, sit back, review, reflect. And I'm just seeing the words that Parry has just written up of repose and the ability to endure the immense amount of craziness with a place of flow and see the spirit within the universe with love and nurturing. This is a lesson of becoming sane and creative. That is beautiful. And I just want to read what Cosmic BL has written. Dreamed you took someone to the hospital, but staff were on strike and they were telling how to administer care, and you eventually had to prepare a room and a bed. Yes, Susie, I am writing a book, and it is something, interestingly, I'm going to start using the Mercury retrograde to use that energy to do it, which sounds a bit skew-whiff and crazy. But I'm doing it because it's taking me back to the past. It's taking me back to a lot of information I've already written down, and I need to go back and collate it. And just to come back to the dream that you had, Cosmic BL, there's something here in this dream about how you have to prepare the way. We always have to prepare the way. Wherever it is we are going and wherever we are being led, we still have to prepare the way. We cannot sit back and expect the cosmos to just do it for us. We have to actually work in harmony, in that flow, in that harmony. Some of you may have seen when you get these really irritating ads that come up on YouTube, there's one that comes up that is actually very interesting. I haven't ever really bothered to click all the way through on it because I really understand the principle of it, but I'll just tell you quickly what it is. And I make no money out of promoting this. But this particular method they're talking about is that if you can get in touch with those theta waves, the brain, when it goes down into alpha and then theta, that is when we are in the flow. And if we are able to access that at will by retraining Mercury retrograde, retraining the neural pathways to connect to the frequencies of these levels of the brain where we are in the flow. You think of a sportsman when he's running a race. We've got the Olympics at the moment. They are most likely to win when they're actually not trying, because they're in the flow. If they get in their own way and start thinking about what they're doing and trying too hard, they will slow down and trip up. The same analogy works for life. So, you know, there is something about Mercury retrograde that can be so super helpful and useful. I would love to catch up with all of your live chat, but I'm in the I was in the flow and I've nearly dropped out of it. Oh dear. I tell you, this COVID that I've had, I think it's called flirt. I don't know why it's called flirt, but it's lingering. I mean, I feel okay, but just not 100%. But before I came on tonight, I could feel my vocal cords freezing up, going like, we're not going to talk. And I thought, that's interesting. I wonder why I'm doing that. Now, what happened was I gave a wonderful example of dropping out of the flow. I watched the final of the men's singles at the Olympics tennis men's singles final yesterday between Novak Djokovic, who won the gold medal, and Carlos Alcaraz, who won the silver medal. Now, it was very interesting because I think Djokovic had a hunger and was so determined to win that gold that he did get out of his own way. And whether you like him or not, right, I add that, he flowed. He had the hunger, he had the flow, he had the game. Carlos Alcaraz, bless him, is also very hungry, but he's very young. And he got in his own way and he fell out of the flow. And so you could tell from watching him that he was just overthinking every move. He was overestimating every move his opponent made and not staying in that flow. And so the same premise goes for life. We have to go with that flow to the best of our ability all the time. If you feel yourself getting anxious while Mercury is retrograde, getting down, getting miserable, overthinking, then you're getting caught in your mind. You have to step back into that resonance, that frequency of those theta and alpha waves where we're just, it's not even like meditation. It's kind of between sleep and awake and conscious. It's a wonderful state. You can get it just by lying, say, flat on the bed. I do this sometimes in peace and silence. And I don't think about anything. I just focus my energy very gently on this part of my forehead with my inner sight. And it drifts me off into this wonderful, wonderful, magical frequency where everything will be okay and everything is okay. So let me see what some of you are writing. Shannon's energy is saying your natal Mercury is retrograde, but sometimes it seems like things work out better for you during retrogrades. Well, of course they will, Shannon, because it's so familiar to you. You've learned to go with the flow. You've learned to roll with the punches. You've learned to slow down. So Mercury retrograde is your friend. And it's interesting that you bring this point up because I think sometimes we forget in our natal charts to actually check out the planets that we may have been born that were retrograde when we were born. And I mean, I can't even think just straight off. I know I've got Saturn retrograde when I was born in Scorpio, but I can't remember what else I might have retrograde. And I mean, I've had my chart for 69 years. Crazy, eh? So I don't know if I've said hello to you yet, Jem, but Jem, I can see you are really doing Andy's job and keeping the flow go in the live chat. And I have switched on the option, which I think makes live chat available after the stream so that you can actually watch it during in live playback or in playback. And actually tonight I tried something different technically. So I'm going to ask, I think it's I can't remember who it was, but one of you always is very good at telling me if there's static or stuff. I didn't plug it in. I'm working on the battery. And I thought maybe it's the electrical connection to the laptop that causes the static. So please let me know if there's any static in what you're receiving over this live. That would be really, really helpful. Now, I'm not going to go into great depth about what is happening over the coming week because with the daily astrobites, you're getting all of that. So I think these live weekly live streams are going to become possibly with one aspect that we look at and really looking more at our psychological self-development and spiritual self-development, because I think that's something that certainly is really helpful for me in giving it to you, and hopefully for you too. Thanks, Jem. You're not noticing any feedback or static. Fantastic. Then that's the way to go. So let's just have a look at what else is happening. So the moon is going to go into Virgo a little later today. And then we will have the moon, Venus, and Mercury in a little stellium in Virgo. So the end of today, you may find you really are dropping out of the flow and forgetting all the stuff I've talked about in this live and going back into the jitters because you switch the news on, you talk to a friend, somebody comes in with stuff and says stuff that kind of unsettles your kind of sense of equanimity and equilibrium. So yes, cosmic BL nodes go retrograde and direct, but they go retrograde and direct many times during the same day. It's a funny anomaly, but we basically, the nodes for, there's a difference between the true node and the true mean node. And basically charts work with nodes that are retrograde. And it doesn't basically have that much bearing other than the fact that a node is an axis of the moon, the earth, and the sun. And as you know, it's where we have that crossover point so that we get eclipses. And I think in September, we're getting back into eclipse season. So that's to come. Manuela, you're talking about, you did the zodiac signs, but then you stopped. Yes, I'm sorry, Manuela, but it's too much for me to do. And I will do it for the year ahead. When I start recording, not long from now, I will start recording the 2025 year ahead astrological overviews for each sign. But to do every single individual sign for the sun, sun signs in the live stream ahead for the month ahead, or in full moons, new moons, or these kind of events is just too much. And I have to recognize my limitations because I want to make sure that I give you quality and not quantity. And, you know, you can gain an awful lot from listening to the general overviews. You don't even have to know your chart. So don't worry and don't get too hung up on, oh, but I'm a Taurus ascendant, so what does that mean is going to happen to me this month? Remember, this is a cosmic weather forecast. It's about looking at the general energies and working with them in a way that carries you along in a positive way and helps you manage your day. So as Taurus Sun and Capricorn rising, we'll have a big, I can't read, something's underneath it. Rising will have a big influence on your Taurus Sun and Capricorn rising. So you've got Uranus, of course, has been going through Taurus, so causing you, Marita, a lot of big changes, depending where your when your birthday is in April or May will determine whether you've already been through all those changes brought about by Uranus or whether you're having them now. Hi, Sarah. Yes, you've made it live, and it's good to see you. So, you know, just coming back to why I don't do the individual zodiac signs anymore, I have to say that I want to do what I have energy for and what I enjoy. And I want to give that to you too. Do what you have energy for and you enjoy in life. I was stopping enjoying doing different zodiac signs. That was a big message for me. If I'm not enjoying it, then actually the listener is going to pick up that I'm not enjoying it and not listen. So actually it loses its spark. It loses that magic that is so important. There are many astrologers out there, intuitives and psychics, that are all excellent at their work, who do have the time and the energy to do the individual zodiac signs. So thank you. That is why, Manuela, and I know you understand, that is why I pulled back from doing all of it. But I want to come on now to the word of the day that I used for the Astrobite that was up a bit earlier today, which is uncertainty. Because uncertainty is something we have to live with all the time. We can never actually be sure about anything on one level. And you remember last week I gave you a saying from Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher. Well, I'm giving you another one this week because it'll lead into the uncertainty and something else I want to talk about. This one you will know very well. And I'm just going to say apologies for the ads. They pop in every now and then. I get a notification and it's what they do. I don't have any control over them. Yes, Empower Me, Time Passages is great and it's free. Yes, and you can get everything for your own individual sign and your date of birth, time of birth, everything. Really good and a really great way to learn astrology. Yes, Empower Me. Thank you. Booking a session with me is wonderful from September. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. So let's come back to uncertainty, because this is what I want to read you as the saying that Lao Tzu gives us today. And you will know this one very well. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So let's repeat that. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And this emphasizes the importance of taking the first step in any endeavor, no matter how daunting it may seem. Melissa, I've just read your comment. Astrology is like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Yeah. But eventually very digestible. I don't know about elephants, but they're cute creatures. I like them. Yes, a journey of 1,000 miles, Jem, begins with a single step. And, starting out on a new journey, say it's your astrology journey, is daunting. And we can be uncertain. We can look at the volume of information we have to assimilate and understand and learn. A little bit like when I started this YouTube channel 4 years ago and, did have the energy then to do all the individual signs. I did all my homework and my groundwork. And, I can't tell you the relief it is to have reached the point where I've allowed myself and giving myself permission to let go and just do what I love doing and do what I enjoy doing. Because, if I'm passionate about what I'm doing, you're going to be there. You're going to want to listen. If I'm not passionate, you're just going to disappear, because it's the passion that attracts people in. So if you're passionate about the journey that you need to make, whichever particular journey that is, it may be a journey within. It may be a journey of astrology. It may be a journey that is very uncertain and very unclear of how it might unfold, because you know what? None of us actually as I've said before, can really see into the future. That's why we use methods like astrology to give us some structure, some modality to hang our anxiety onto, to put it into some kind of context so that we can, really kind of find a way through the maze of energies which life presents us with. So taking that first step on an uncertain path is very brave. And then when we've taken that first step, we take the second step. And then eventually we can look back and see how many steps we've taken and how far we've come. Even if there still seems like a long way to go, because you know what they say, it's about the journey and not the destination. And that's another thing, is often we are kind of fixated on destinations and not taking into account the importance of the journey to get there. The journey to the destination is the most important part. Because, in many ways, we don't really arrive at that destination, because the destination will constantly change and reform, regroup, and be kind of created into something just more of what it can become. Yes, we don't want anyone tripping us up. We're on the road to nowhere. We're not on the road to nowhere. We're on the road to somewhere. And that brings something else in, because that brings in, I think, another side of the word uncertainty, which is, what if? We can have a series of words in our vocabulary which all start with what if? What if it doesn't go right? What if I don't get what I want? Well, maybe you don't get what you want. And when you don't get what you want, you find out that's absolutely fine. Maybe not getting what you want is an absolute blessing. And maybe the what if was your psyche's way of protecting you from forging ahead from your kind of direct mental powers to making something happen, to allowing something to unfold. So this is what we have to do. If you catch yourself saying, well, what if it doesn't work out? What if I don't get the house I want? What if I don't get the relationship I want? What if I don't get the job I want? What if this thing I've planned all goes wrong? What if no one likes me? What if no one's listening to my video tonight? You know what? Actually, it doesn't matter, because we shouldn't be living, as Cosmic BL says, we shouldn't be living according to astrology, but simply see it as a guide. Beautiful, Cosmic BL. But we've gone over that before, we have. And we have to keep going over it again and reminding ourselves. Manuela, you're saying, Penny, do you think when we cross over, we can still hear sound, like music and voices? I hope it's so, because I love music so much. You're losing me lag and audio. Don't know why. My battery's still good. My battery. Yeah, my battery's still good. Don't know why. It'll just be internet. Obviously, I'm streaming this via Wi-Fi, so who knows? But, and you're now noticing static in my voice, so it wasn't just this then. Never mind. I did my best. I tried. But let's just, before we wind things up then, as the sound is going, think about, yes, I like that, Janice. It works out, but maybe it actually works out better, because it's not necessarily what we imagine, but sometimes things can be much, much better than we've imagined. And if we get in our own way, we keep preventing the divine working her magic and giving us something far, far more amazing and imaginative than we could possibly ever have created. So, yes, Poonam, Mercury retrograde at its best with the static. So listen, I'm going to start bringing this to a close now, because I think we've done Mercury retrograde to death. It's staying retrograde till the 28th. And the day after it goes direct, Venus on the 29th will actually move into the sign of Libra. And Venus rules Libra. So there will be a balancing out of things. So if we come back to where we came in with the turmoil in the world kind of markets and stock exchanges, everything will be all right. And you know, astrology has, and I'm sure you've all heard the lovely astrologer Pam Gregory talk about the downturn in a major downturn that we can expect in the world economy. And the astrology has been hinting at this for some time now. And Pluto, when it retrogrades back into Capricorn, you know, through the kind of September, October months is going to see some, I think, pretty tricky energies coming up. But the most important thing is to not get into fear. Don't get into fear. Sounds like interfere. Don't interfere with the flow. Don't interfere with your divine flow. Stay in the flow. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. As always, you've all been absolutely awesome. I love reading your chat. And I will be back tomorrow morning with another Astro Bite. They're all recorded, not all of them. I've just done 2 days ahead. So I've done tomorrow's and Wednesday's. And you have a great day or a great evening wherever you are on the planet. And next week, I will be back with another live stream. I'm just going to do them on Mondays till September. Then they will shift back onto a Sunday night. So for now, Crazy Cat Lady in Gozo signing off. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Take care. Loads of love. Bye for now. Bye.